everybody, my name is REDRUP, this is the It's Not a Phase podcast, and on this episode I'm joined by pop-punk, pop-rock trio Meet Me at the Altar. We talk all about their debut album Past, Present, Future, making a slight change in sound for the record, their influences both musically and aesthetically from the 2000s, wanting to build a strong and loyal fan base, grinding throughout their career, and loads more. Now, if you enjoyed this or any other episode of the podcast and you want to show your support, there's a few ways that you can do that. Number one, leave a rating and review wherever you're listening to this. It takes just a few seconds and it really does help. Number two, share this on your social media, whether that be Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever. Or number three, if you want to go the extra mile, you can pay a little bit each month to join the Patreon, and in return you'll get access to episodes early along with some other perks, or you can pick up some merch from the store. All the links to that and the podcast socials where you can follow us can be found at itsnotaphase.co.uk. That's itsnotaphase.co.uk. And now with all that out of the way, let's jump right into this week's episode of It's Not a Phase. What's up everybody? Thank you for joining me on this episode of It's Not a Phase, where I'm joined by all three members of Meet Me at the Altar. How are you doing?
Woo, we're so good. So
you're in the middle of a tour now, aren't you? You're in like a US headline tour, is that right?
Yeah, and it just kind of started.
Yeah, how many days in are we?
I think we're like five.
I think we're six.
6 shows.
I think on Daisy Grenade we was 6.
Well, yeah, because Toronto was
I
5.
didn't even know.
Toronto was 5, and then Cleveland was 6.
Okay, yeah. So pretty early, but it feels really good. It's been amazing.
So you're like into the swing of things now, or are you still kind of warming up to touring life?
No, we've been touring for the past 2 years straight, so it's just natural to us at this point. It takes maybe a day or two, and then we're like, okay, we're done sound checking after 5 minutes.
So it's kind of like the road is more your home than actual home is your home at this moment.
Yeah. Definitely.
So obviously the big news is that your debut album's coming out, Past, Present, Future. You know, at the time of recording, it's not quite out, but in a few hours it will be. How are you guys kind of feeling about finally putting out your debut full-length album? You know, it's such a landmark point in any band's career.
I don't even know, how to describe it, because it's I don't know, having babies and then posting them on the internet for the first time. I don't know, they're little children. No, we're just so proud of this album, and it was a rough patch at first figuring out what direction we wanted to go, and I feel like the direction that we went, we're gonna gain some fans or we're gonna lose some, just because we're not as niche anymore. We didn't want to trap ourselves in a box, and we made music that we really love, and at the end of the day, if people love it, that's awesome. But we're always just gonna write for ourselves, and we're just super stoked about it. And it's we've been getting good feedback because we've been playing some of these songs live, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, you say you're less niche now, but I think that's kind of comes part and parcel of having an album, right? You can't just do the same thing over again for 10 plus songs. And, on this album, you have kind of veered into different directions, not without going too crazy. Was it quite nice and freeing, I guess, to kind of be able to flex your creativity a bit like that?
Yeah, it definitely felt really good not putting ourselves in a box, especially in the writing room, because then your options are almost endless. And I think we're just finding a good mix between new and old. Also, finding the perfect mix. It was kind of hard, but I think that we definitely did it, because I don't think it's too different, but I also don't think it's the exact same as what we've been doing.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like it's worlds apart from the EP. No one's going to pick it up and say, this doesn't sound anything like Meet Me at the Altar. You can definitely see the connection, but there's, a step in a new direction for you guys.
Right, because I feel if anything, we sound more like Meet Me at the Altar. Before we were making music with pop punk in mind, but this was the first time where we really just let ourselves just create, and feel you can really hear the authenticity in it, and we're telling our story, throughout the album.
So why is it that you went with the title Past, Present, Future for the album?
It's funny because the title came first. That tends to happen. I don't know, but it sounded really cool. And we kind of shaped the album around that concept, because even though the words popped up randomly, it just made sense. We're always listening to music from the past that, we grew up being influenced by, and putting a modern spin on it today, and just writing about who we are. And that's helping set up for the future.
Cool. And that's how I guess the three names in the title then link. Like you're looking at all aspects of, you know, your career, and like you say, this kind of step in a new direction sonically is kind of going to carve out the future that you're going to create for yourselves.
Yeah.
You said before, like obviously you're on a tour across the US at the moment, and you've been playing a few of these songs live that most people haven't heard before. Like how's that kind of going down? Obviously, people don't know the words just yet. How's that going?
It's been good. You can always like tell which songs are gonna stick by how the audience reacts to a song that they don't know yet. Because then they can just be standing there, or they could be actually like bopping to it even though they don't know it.
Right? You can tell they're like listening.
Yeah, you can tell they're like trying to get it and that they want to get it. I think we had like the perfect set list of like old songs and new, and it kind of takes our fans right now on a roller coaster of like knowing things and not knowing things during our set, and it makes it, I think, a lot more entertaining.
Oh shit! And tomorrow's gonna be the first show where people will have a chance to listen to it beforehand.
You can kind of like see and kind of contrast like how much of these people that we're playing to now listen to this album in less than 24 hours.
Yeah,
I've been seeing a lot of dancing though.
I too. Yeah,
a lot of like. There's been a good amount of pits, which I am very happy about. Honestly, it makes me really happy, and I think overall, like when you come to a show and you really experience the songs, like you really get to see it in its whole, and it's a really good experience. And I feel like a lot of people are enjoying it live so far.
And even more so after the album comes out tomorrow, like I say, they can actually know the songs now. So I think as well, it's good that you guys, you know, because the music you make, you know, you've got so many like hooks and it's just so bouncy and stuff. That helps as well when people don't quite know the song. It's just easy to latch on to these certain parts in the song and bounce about.
That was intentional too, because like we've always been a fan of just like any like catchy song. We're huge pop fans, but we're huge rock fans too. So we wanted to like take that catchiness aspect and just put it on some rock tunes.
Guitars.
Yeah, you've always had like it's not even just like the sound of it, but there's been like positive messages throughout your songs as well. And then thinking about it now, you know, at the moment that we're recording, it's not out where you guys are or where I am right now. But I think with the time zone difference, it'd be out in Australia now, though, wouldn't it? Like people in Australia would be listening to it.
Which is ironic because Stan Atlantic, the band that we're going to go see tonight, they are having.
Yeah, that's crazy. Have you seen like any like online reactions, like on social media or anything from your fans over there?
I think we kind of just had the conversation of like not looking, because this is a very important step of our careers, and I feel like a lot of people are gonna love it, but then there's gonna be those assholes who like just say something ridiculous because they don't like it, or it's not what they expected. So I think we're gonna definitely try and focus on not looking for opinions.
Right.
And if we see one, then we see one. But I'm definitely not. I'm not trying to see really any opinion. I just want to like live in our world, and we know we love it, so that should all.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, I think that might be the best option.
Yeah, at least to begin with, like you want to just enjoy the release and enjoy this tour, celebrating the release.
The people who are gonna be there to support us are showing up to these shows, and like that's all that matters. Like the internet's not real, so there's no point. I don't know. We are very aware that it's not common to not put yourself in a box, and like other people will try to put us in that box for us, and we're not about that. So
yeah,
we'll just. We like the album, and that's what matters.
Yeah, like, it is. Like, imagine if you wrote an album that you hated. Why would you do that? Like,
fans do that all the time to like please other people, and that's like so heartbreaking as an artist, because the whole point is to be creative and like express yourself the way you want to.
That's especially more difficult if you, like I say, wrote even like a couple of songs that you didn't like, and you're going to have to be playing these songs for X amount of years, like 5, and you're gonna have fans requesting it and stuff, and it's just gonna keep on coming back to you.
Yep, and it like you can tell when an artist has a hit that they hate, and they don't even want to perform it.
I think that's especially worse as well when you know you have bands that get a huge hit and it's a cover, and people only want to hear the cover.
Oh my god!
Like that is a nightmare.
It would really suck.
That's kind of like a pitfall, isn't it? Because you could do this cover and that kind of generates a lot of fans for you and kind of latches them on to listen to your original stuff. But then you've also playing that risk of is this the song that we're going to be known for and it's not even ours?
Yeah. But I mean, any publicity is good publicity.
That's what they say. How did the process of writing and putting together the full length compare to, the EPs that you put together? Because I mean, the obvious thing is the full length is longer, so you've got to consider the album journey, I suppose.
This is our first time experiencing co-writing and like inviting another brain into a writing session. And at first, I think that was something that we were super turned off by because, we're so possessive of what we want to do and like we know what we want. And I don't know, it was really nice to allow ourselves to write with other people. But we did have to go through like all like the bad matches. It's like speed dating.
Yeah.
Especially when you've never co-written before, so you don't know who you'd like vibe with and you don't know like who you should go to. So you have to kind of go through like everyone like your team brings to you. You have to kind of like trial every single person. And we did trial a lot of writers that we didn't mesh with at all. Mm-hmm. And it got kind of old very quickly, but then found people that listened to us and that understood our vision. And then co-writing was like a breeze once you find the right people.
Do you think that's something you'll do in the future, or do you think you'd return to just kind of writing, yourselves for the time being?
I think it's definitely going to be a mix for sure.
Yeah, because the people that we did find ourselves meshing well with, we really, really love and feel like they understand our vision and like enhance it. And that's like something that we definitely don't take for granted because we had a lot of bad sessions.
That's the thing that's really big with this band is if it's not broke, don't fix it.
That's so true.
And if it works, it works.
Yeah, no, it's true.
I think with co-writing as well, I don't know how like far into a song being made you brought in someone to co-write and kind of tweak it and stuff like that. But I guess because you've got this kind of an emotional attachment to songs as they are in their initial form, I guess it's kind of hard to kind of, let go of some of the control of what the song is to let it be the song it becomes, if that makes sense.
Well, we actually like just started from scratch with everyone that we worked with. Or maybe there was like maybe one or two that we already had the idea for and like went off of that. But for the most part, like we would just start from scratch and be like, okay, we want to write a song about whatever it is, about hating yourself, for example, which is probably a bad example to choose from on the album. But no, yeah, we just like sat down and really figured out what we wanted to make. And we made some cool stuff with people, which we didn't know that like that was a possibility because we kind of, we were just like, I don't know about this, but it worked out.
So when you mentioned those kind of like bad sessions, is it just because they didn't quite get what you were going for and what you wanted?
Definitely a mixture of not listening to the artist and not understanding what we want to do with our band. Because when you have people, I don't know, like it's supposed to be a collaboration. And when some writers aren't very good at collaborating and listening to what the artists are working with once, it kind of just doesn't work at all. And I like to say that like when you're in a writing session with the writer and like you don't even like vibe like on like a non-musical level, that the song is not going to be good. Like you have to like them as a person as well as like how they're working with you or trying to work with you.
Yeah, there's obviously you want good results, but also there's kind of like the professional and personal relationship. You've got to get on with who you're working with. Otherwise, you're just going to hate the process and the kind of memories you attach to the songs that you end up creating. So I believe it was originally was the album meant to come out last year at some point, but then it got pushed back. Is that right?
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
To be fair, we did like keep writing for months and months after we were like, we're done. So part of it was our fault. But yeah, it was supposed to come out last year. But with the way that things turned out, it made more sense to just hit the top of the year with new music. And like, thank God we did, because we got the Taco Bell thing with Say It.
Oh, yeah.
Which like, that was like perfect timing for that. And then like, we got Stephen Colbert and then Kelly Clarkson the other day. So like, everything happens for a reason and it all fell in place when it needed to.
That must have been so crazy to have your song on a Taco Bell advert.
Yeah,
it really was.
I don't think any of us were expecting that to happen.
No.
But hey, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, it's a it's a good achievement. Yeah, like I don't know if you go to Taco Bell often, but like you can just say, oh well, I've got a song with them.
I wish we were like in the commercial so we could just like pull it up and be like,
Yeah. Like this is me. There you go. So you went with John Fields to produce the album. He's worked with big acts like Miley Cyrus, Demi Lovato, Pink. What was it kind of like working with him when he's got a clientele like that? I mean, listening to the album, I can see why you would go with him when he's worked with bands like that, because I can kind of see the influences of those acts I've just mentioned in the album.
Yeah, no, he's actually a really chill guy. Like he's like, how old is he? Is he in his like 50s?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just such a guy. Like he's so cute. He'll shorten words that don't need to be shortened.
Yeah.
Like for totally, he would say totes, and like he's just like, it's just funny.
He's a dad, and he's very seasoned, and I don't know. We have a really high level of respect for him because he can understand things because he is so. Oh my God.
Like skilled.
Yes, he's so experienced.
Yeah.
So it was really fun being in a room with someone that had that much experience in the industry, and all of his little like, oh, maybe we should do that, should do that. We really took into account when we were recording and stuff. It was really, really fun.
He obviously knows what he's doing.
Did you learn much from him that you think you'll take forward for any further material that you put out in the future?
Definitely. Just like I feel like our approach to tracking was a little bit different this time, and like before we were very like meticulous and like very clean, and for this record we actually like pulled back a little bit and was a little bit more loose with it, and I feel like it just sounds more real because like we're not the type of band where we just want to like blow up super quick and then like dissipate overnight. Like we want longevity. Like we want to be in the Rock and Roll like Hall of Fame one day. We want to have like a body of work that speaks for itself, and I feel like this album sounds more like what I would imagine a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame artist to have.
It's true.
Yeah, you definitely want to kind of grow a strong community and fan base. You don't want to be kind of like this one-hit wonder, which some bands unfortunately fall under.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what I really enjoy about your like kind of style of pop punk and pop rock, and you kind of mentioned it earlier as well, is there's kind of like a throwback to kind of like the 2000s era of pop punk and pop rock, but you've got like it's not like a tribute kind of thing. It's kind of like a modern sheen on top of it as well. So like when I listen to the album, like on Cool, I don't know if you would agree or if you hear it, but it kind of reminds me of Brain Stew by Green Day, the guitar riff.
Yeah, we get that a lot.
Yeah.
Definitely have. It was like vibes are something that we really focused on, and like writing this album, we really focused on like the live show aspect of things, and we imagined playing those songs on a stage. And we just tried to write stuff that like being in the crowd, you'd be like, hell yeah.
Yeah, and like there's like I say, there's that kind of Brain Stew sounding song Cool, and then there's that song Need Me that kind of reminds me of Avril Lavigne kind of stuff, and then Try kind of reminds me of like the early 5 Seconds of Summer albums as well.
I love them.
Me too.
Do you ever find it kind of difficult to kind of mesh the old and new and kind of have that balance of old and new in there?
I wouldn't say it was difficult, just because we like our intention going into this was to not like focus on fitting any kind of box and just write and just create what we wanted to. So I mean, it was difficult at first when we didn't know what direction we wanted to go, but when we figured it out, like it flowed from there.
I also find that like when you like really love a certain type of music or a certain era of music, I think it's always in you, even subconsciously.
Yeah.
So when you're writing, you're not really thinking about exactly what you want to write. I feel like there's gonna be a perfect blend of like music you love and like you.
Right.
Yeah, like you say, if you've just kind of naturally love it, and then like you say, subconsciously you're kind of pushing that out there when you're in your creative spaces, or when you're in a songwriting session, I guess. So I like as well, like this kind of throwback to the 2000s, and it kind of, I don't know if this is a conscious thing that you guys do and intentional, but aesthetically as well, like in your videos for Cool and Say It to My Face, you've got like the old retro MacBooks in there, and then you've got like the retro like pop star posters on the wall, and the inflatable seats as well, which are all like kind of like throwbacks to those trends, I guess. Was that kind of like an intentional thing to have those kind of things in there?
For sure. I just think that time kind of exudes happiness for so many people.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of us find ourselves wishing that that's how it still was. And that was like the good old days or whatever you want to say. So I feel like when people get today in such a more modern sound that we have, it kind of makes them happy that like, because everything comes back around and everyone loves to see things that used to be. And I just think that, I don't know, I feel like people are going to love and definitely find comfort and like the small Easter eggs that are like throwback that we add in our videos and stuff.
Yeah. Like when I saw those inflatable seats, I was like, I've not seen them for years. I forgot they even existed.
Right. No, we really wanted the music to, reflect that era. And we wanted that era to be reflected in our creative content and all that. Like I wish you could see our mood board for this album. Because it was like full of that kind of stuff. But yeah.
You just need to feel like in, I don't know, MySpace, a sidekick, and everything else from that time as well.
It really was really fun.
And like, I feel like we were too young to like fully appreciate it when it was happening. So now we're like reliving it in our adult years because we wish we could have experienced it like now, but back then.
Yeah. Like I was going through some of my old stuff the other day and I found a lava lamp and I was like, well, back out.
Those are still cool, in my opinion.
Yeah, they are so cool. Speaking of the video for Say It to My Face, that part where you're kind of like destroying the guy's bedroom, I imagine that part was really fun to do.
It was.
It's so fun. And it's so funny when like, I feel like nowadays, I think a lot of music listeners and fans kind of take things a little bit too seriously. Because like the video is like, obviously it's a joke. Like,
right.
We're not gonna actually beat people up that like say something online, but music videos are just also expression. It's also art, and sometimes they're not meant to be taken so literally.
Yeah.
And I want to have fun in that video and like make it have like a punk vibe, like a badass vibe. So yeah, in the video we're gonna beat him up because it's not real.
Yeah, we just like, well, I guess we did, but like we didn't like beat him up. We just like beat up his stuff.
Yeah, we just broke all his stuff.
Yeah, like he smashed up the old MacBook on there and then threw his whole desk on the floor.
Yeah, like what?
Just a stern talking to.
Yeah. Like you say, you want to make a fun music video because there's so many bands that will just perform in, I don't know, like the middle of the forest or in an abandoned warehouse and just play the song.
That's the thing I was tired of, was like just the boring band shot video.
Yeah.
Like put a little spice
Everyone's
in there.
seen those
like
every time.
Have a little bit more fun,
Yeah, definitely. Because then people will remember it as opposed to the 99,000 band performing videos that are out there.
Literally.
So you guys have been a band for, quite a few years now, and, a lot of things have changed. I think you guys met from all different states and kind of came together. And now, a few years later, you've got a few EPs. We're on like the eve of putting out your debut full length album for a dream label like Fueled by Ramen. Like when you kind of look back at those beginnings to where you are now, how would you kind of sum up your journey and the span of the band's life so far?
I don't even know. It was like, okay, I feel like our growth has been exponential because it was really slow at first. It was super slow. And then about when we got signed, that's when it started just taking off. And it was definitely a process. And like, I don't know, something I just want people to know is that you have to grind it out. Like, no matter what you want to do, it's gonna suck for years. I mean, like, here we are 8 years later, and like now things are just starting to take off for us. Like, we're headlining for the first time, but it was all like so worth it. Like, it was worth playing to like 2 people in a dive bar in like the middle of nowhere. Like, it was.
In a way, we're still grinding it out. Like,
yeah, like
we still drive ourselves. We're still in the van. We still load up all of our gear. Like, there's always going to be a point where you have to grind to get to the next level. I don't think that ever really stops. It's like always stepping stones.
But like, the grinding is like the story, and like a lot of people, they have this idea of like, I want to reach album, then I'll be happy. No, you're not going to be happy because you're always going to want something else. So like, just appreciate the road. And like, we're in a van right now. We're not in a bus. But like one day we're going to look back and we're going to miss these days. So we should just appreciate it while we're here, and then we're going to move up, and then we're going to love it, you know?
Yeah. Like it's always a grind, but it's just, I guess, at different stages, it's a different kind of grind that you're doing. And, you know, you kind of mention it as well in the lyrics to Say It to My Face. But I guess when people only just discover you guys at this stage, and you know, you look really like successful, obviously you've got like this album coming out, so that, you know, you've done better than most bands and you've got signed to like a great label. But I guess when they see you at this point, they just think you've instantly become successful. And like you say in your lyrics, they must be an industry plant, when it's not like that. They don't see the years of graft beforehand.
Exactly.
But I guess that's just the way fans are sometimes.
I honestly think so.
Like elitist, just kind of gatekeepers. We don't need any of them.
No, we don't. And that, like, this album will weed them out.
Yeah. Like I say, the debut album's the statement, isn't it? And you've made a hell of a statement with this upload.
Bye.
So, you know, we've kind of looked at the past and the present, and now onto the future, just kind of like the album title. You know, after this tour, I think you've got a few festivals, and then you're coming back to the UK, I think, in August for Reading and Leeds Festival. Is that right?
So exciting.
That's going to be so insane, because that's like a bucket list festival for her.
What else is planned so far for Meet Me at the Altar in 2023 that you can talk about?
I don't even know yet. Honestly, like, we're just going to keep doing the thing. We're going to keep touring, which, like, we can't get specific, but we are going to be touring.
Can't talk about
a lot.
We have a lot planned.
I feel like most of what's going to come out of this year, we just don't know yet.
That's
because
true.
the album coming out is going to change everything for us. And like, hopefully there's a Jonas Brothers tour in our year. Yeah.
I really hope.
We're manifesting that.
Jonas
really hard
Brothers.
Right now.
I would love to get Demi Lovato.
Pink.
Oh my god! The other day we were manifesting to the moon. We think low key it really took a lot of energy out of us because we had to play a show that, and it was really tough. But
was it full moon or something?
It was a full moon. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a full moon, and we were on a rooftop. It was just perfect. We just sit there and manifest. And that's one of the things we manifested. Just like world domination, basically.
Well, why not? Like, go hard or go home, right?
Exactly.
You know the saying, reach for this. If you reach for the stars, even if you miss, you'll land in the clouds.
Aww.
You ever heard that?
Oh, it's
No,
sweet.
It's something like that, but I like think that too.
Well, you know, don't never know until you try, do you? And if manifesting's going to take out of you, hopefully just do it on a rest day next time. So
I know, right?
Not
so
2 years
true.
before the set.
well, yeah, guys, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Best of luck with the album launch. I think you're going to do absolutely fine. You know, I've spun the album quite a few times, and I could say pop punk album of the year so far. It's only March, but we'll see.
Oh, so much.
You're welcome. Before I let you go and enjoy the rest of your day off and Stand Atlantic later, have you got any final words? Anything you want to say? Anything you want to plug?
Go listen to our album. Yeah.
That's fair enough. That's some good words to end on. Yeah, thanks very much again. Really appreciate it. And hopefully I'll catch you next time you guys are over in the UK again.
Yeah.
We'll be there very soon.
Thanks very much. Catch you later.
Thank you.
And that is it. Thank you so much for listening. Again, if you enjoyed this or any other episode of the podcast, then please leave a rating and review wherever you're listening to this. If you want to support the podcast further, you can go and give it a follow on social media, pick up something from the merch store, or subscribe to the Patreon to get early access to episodes. All the links can be found at itsnotaphase.co.uk. That's itsnotaphase.co.uk. Thanks again. Hopefully catch you on the next one. And remember, it's not a phase, it's a lifestyle.